You want to win, huh? You want to rise while the world spits on you, laughs at you, kicks your name around like garbage in the street? Be patient. Patience ain't some soft little whisper in a meditation room. No, patience is war. Silent, slow-burning, dangerous war. You think strength is in noise? In explosions? Nah. Real strength? It's in silence. It's in that quiet room where you sit with your pain and don't run. Where you sit with your anger and don't explode. Where you sit with your dreams and don't beg the world to believe in them. You just wait. Building bleed. Alone, but focused. They told you to wait your turn, didn't they? What they meant was, wait until we're done destroying your confidence. You trusted that timeline, thought maybe if you were good enough, kind enough, loud enough, they'd notice. You thought loyalty gets rewarded. Nah. Loyalty gets you used. Real quick. You give your best to people who barely give you their bare minimum. And then they blame you for not being enough. How ironic. You bleed yourself dry. And they say, why aren't you more alive? Let me tell you a little story, kid. Imagine a lion in a cage, not roaring, not moving, just watching. Every fool that passes by thinks he's weak, broken. They throw rocks. They laugh. Stupid lion doesn't even fight back. But that lion ain't dead. He's waiting, calculating, healing. That silence, that stillness, that's a warning. But they're too busy talking to hear it. And one day that cage opens. And suddenly, everyone goes quiet. That's patience, not weakness. Preparation. You want it fast, don't you? Like they do. Chasing likes, chasing noise, chasing fake applause. The loud ones burn out quick. They get the spotlight just long enough to choke on it. You ain't built for flashes. You're built for storms. You don't just want the throne. You want to rebuild the damn kingdom. That takes time, sacrifice, pain, and more silence than you can stand. But the more you shut up, the louder your future gets. They think patience is soft, that waiting means losing. Nah. Patience is brutal. It's waking up every day in the same hell and choosing not to break. It's holding back when your name's being dragged, when your worth's being questioned, when your back's against the wall and the only thing louder than your heartbeat is your rage. And still, you wait, with clenched fists and bleeding lips. But you wait. Because deep down, you know. This pain isn't the end. It's the beginning of everything. Don't beg them to see you. They're blind. And comfort makes them lazy. They won't see until you become the very thing they tried to bury. You think they'll regret hurting you just 'cause you cried? Nah. Regret only comes when silence turns into success, when the ghost they tried to kill comes back, not to speak, not to explain, but to conquer. You ain't here to prove them wrong with words. You're here to destroy their illusion of who you were, quietly. You keep asking when it'll change. When will it be my turn? That's the wrong question. Ask instead, will I still move, even if it never comes? See, most people are only patient because they think a reward is guaranteed. You've got to be patient. Like nothing's promised. Like nobody's coming. That's how you win. By not needing the wind to keep walking. You want to heal? Then stop waiting for them to apologize. You want to grow? Then stop needing their support. You want to dominate? Then stop telling the world your every move. Stop sharing your plans with people who'd love nothing more than to see them fail. Go dark, stay cold, stay distant. Let them wonder, let them make stories up. That's their problem. Yours is to rise without noise. Strike when it's too late for them to react. That's what patience does. It blindsides. So yeah, kid, be patient, but not soft. Be patient like a prisoned king, like a volcano before it erupts, like a ghost, building a grave for every fake friend who called you too slow. They won't see you coming. And that's the point. You see, people don't fear what they see coming. They fear what disappears, goes silent, and never explains. That's what makes patience deadly. It doesn't argue. It doesn't scream. It vanishes. And when it returns, it doesn't return to talk. It returns to end. You think the world owes you clarity? A reason? Closure? Nah. The world owes you nothing. That silence you sit in, that's where you become something different. That's where the version of you they betrayed gets buried, and something colder, smarter, and untouchable is born. But only if you endure, only if you don't run from the slow days, the ignored messages, the fake smiles, the nights that stretch forever with no answers. That's the real test. Can you suffer without making noise? Can you get stabbed in the back and still walk straight, not to prove them wrong, but because you don't even care about their opinions anymore? That's real strength. They won't teach you that. Nah. They'll teach you to react, to beg, to post quotes online like some wounded bird trying to get sympathy. But you don't want sympathy. You want silence so deep it echoes. You want scars that talk louder than any speech. Because you know something they don't. You know patience doesn't mean weakness. It means power delayed, not denied. They're watching you, you know. They check your profile more than you check theirs. They wonder if you're broken yet, if you're still standing. They're hoping your silence means defeat. Let them. That's your advantage. They don't know what you're building. They don't know what's coming. While they're out there chasing attention, begging for validation, you're stacking ammo in the dark. Emotional ammo, mental ammo, lessons, rage, strategy. You're learning how to strike without warning. That's what happens when a patient soul finally decides it's time. The world doesn't get a second chance to react. You've been through hell, haven't you? They left when you needed them the most, ignored your loyalty, played with your kindness, laughed behind your back. You gave them everything, and they acted like you were asking for too much. And now they're confused. You went quiet. You stopped calling, stopped chasing. That's why they're nervous. Because silence screams. It screams growth. It screams control. And control? That's the one thing they thought you'd never get. Let them think you're gone. Let them think you lost. Every time they assume you're finished, that's another blind spot you gain. And when you return, don't announce it. Just start taking your time, your space, your power. No warnings, no explanations, just presence. That's what patience teaches you. How to become a storm that doesn't forecast itself. You just show up and change the weather. You're sitting in that dark place right now, wondering if it's worth it. If being silent, strong, and disciplined will pay off. Let me tell you something. They all crack. Every one of them. The fake friends. The ones who used you. The one who said you weren't enough. They all crack. Not because you screamed, not because you tried to make them feel guilty, but because you didn't. You kept walking, kept building. That's the kind of pain people never forget. Not the loud kind, the silent kind, the he didn't even flinch kind. That's what patience gives you. Revenge without effort. Don't wait for the storm to pass. You are the storm. You just haven't learned how to release it yet. All that fire you've been hiding, all that pain you've buried, all that silence you've been surviving in. Use it. Build with it. Every quiet day is a brick. Every ignored message is a weapon. Every lie they told is a shield. Stack it all. And when the time's right, don't shout. Just rise. Rise like a ghost they thought they buried. A shadow with eyes. Cold. Focused. Unbothered. Patience ain't easy. It's not soft. It's brutal. It's walking past the ones who hurt you like they don't exist. It's smiling when you're still bleeding. It's planning your empire while they're busy talking about your ashes. But when it's all said and done, they won't remember the version of you they laughed at. No. They'll remember the silence that followed and what rose from it. And that silence, it's not just for them. It's for you. Because in that stillness, you finally hear yourself without all the noise, without the lies, without the masks they forced you to wear just to be accepted. Patience strips everything fake off you. All the illusions, all the dependencies. It kills the need for approval. It kills the urge to explain. Because once you sit in enough silence, long enough, broken enough, you realize nobody's coming to save you. And that's where you become dangerous. That's where you stop playing their game and start building your own. Quietly, carefully, coldly. The world doesn't need to hear you scream anymore. It needs to feel your presence. They thought your silence meant surrender. That was their first mistake. See, the weak always confuse quiet with defeat, but not you. You've been dying every night and waking up like nothing happened. That's what patience really is. It's surviving your own destruction without showing it. And every time you do, you become a little less human and a lot more legend. People don't fear noise. They fear consistency. They fear the one who disappears and never comes back the same. You think you're the same person they broke? You're not. You're the version that refused to die, the version that watched everything burn and kept building in silence. And that version, it doesn't need to chase anymore. Not love, not friendship, not even recognition. Because when you're patient, you stop reacting to what doesn't serve you. You stop needing to be understood by people who never took the time to listen. You stop arguing with people who chose to misunderstand you. Let them think what they want. They're not your problem anymore. Your job isn't to explain, it's to evolve. Without announcement, without noise, without warning. The most powerful moves are the ones nobody sees coming. And yeah, they'll talk. They'll say you changed, that you're cold, that you're different. Good. That means it's working. They don't realize you gave them the softest version of yourself, and they destroyed it. Now they get to meet the patient version, the calculating version, the version that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and sure as hell doesn't forgive easily. Because patience doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering silently. It means storing every betrayal like fuel. It means using every scar as blueprints, not to react, but to rebuild. Better, stronger, colder. Do you know what scares them the most? Not your anger, not your tears, but the moment you stop explaining your pain and start using it. That shift in your eyes, when you realize nothing they did can stop what you're becoming. That's what keeps them up at night. Because now they know they don't have access anymore. You're not waiting for their apology. You're not hoping for closure. You already gave yourself both in silence. Patience is when you watch the world move around you, fast, chaotic, loud, and you don't flinch. You don't rush. You don't panic. Because you've been through worse. Because you've felt pain so deep, it made you numb. And once you've survived that, there's not much left to fear. They think you're slow? Nah, you're precise. They think you're lost? Nah, you're focused. But your path doesn't need a crowd. Your rise doesn't need witnesses. Let them mock you. Let them talk. One day, that same mouth that laughed will go quiet. Not because you silenced it, but because your success became too loud to ignore. You see, the problem with most people, they want power fast. They want love now. They want revenge immediately. But what they get is short-lived, cheap, hollow. You want something real, and real takes time. Real takes silence. Real takes the kind of patience that breaks weak men and builds monsters. And you, my friend, you were made for this. You've been bleeding in the shadows for too long to stay soft. Let them underestimate you. Let them misread your silence. Because when the clock runs out and you step back in the game, they won't know what hit them. They won't see it coming because they never cared to look deeper. They saw the version of you that bent, that begged, that stayed loyal when it made no damn sense. They thought that version was permanent. But patience doesn't preserve the soft. It forges the savage. They forgot that a person who learns how to wait also learns how to endure. And the one who endures becomes unstoppable. You think sitting in silence is easy? Try staying silent when your heart's in pieces. Try not reacting when you know the truth, but they're feeding the world a lie. Try not breaking when you've been forgotten by the very people you'd have burned for. That's not weakness. That's the strongest form of control you'll ever have. Because in that silence, you sharpen. You stop swinging wildly and start aiming with precision. You stop wasting your pain on people who were never worth your voice. You stop trying to teach loyalty to the disloyal or kindness to the cruel. And in that process, you become immune to their opinions, immune to their manipulation, immune to their absence. You realize your value doesn't rise and fall based on who stays or who leaves. It stays rooted in you. And the longer you wait in that cold, unforgiving space where no one claps for you, no one checks on you, no one understands you, the more you evolve into something they'll regret losing for the rest of their lives. Do you want to win? Then learn this. Reaction is currency. Every time you react to their games, they profit. Every time you respond to their silence with desperation, they gain power. Every time you fold just to keep peace, you lose your soul. But when you stop reacting, when you stop giving them the pleasure of your anger, your sadness, your explanations, that's when they panic. That's when they start to wonder what version of you is growing in the dark. Because now, you're not talking. You're not complaining. You're just vanishing. And people fear what they can't track. They said, be patient, like it was some poetic virtue. But they didn't tell you how much it would hurt. They didn't tell you patience feels like dying slowly while pretending you're okay. They didn't mention the sleepless nights, the bitterness, the self-doubt, the crushing silence. Number. They just said, be patient, like it was simple. But you've learned, haven't you? You've learned that patience is a blade, not in your hand, but in your spine. It's what keeps you upright when everything else tries to break you. And the ones who master it, they don't just return stronger, they return unrecognizable. So go ahead, let them move on, let them replace you, let them say you've changed. Stay silent, stay still, and smile. Because while they're out there trying to find distractions to hide from what they did to you, you're becoming something that doesn't need to be found. It needs to be feared, not because you're violent, not because you're loud, but because you didn't need to prove anything anymore. You didn't need them to see you bleed. You just let them go, and that's what will haunt them. That they did everything to break you, and you didn't even flinch. And maybe one day, far from now, they'll sit alone and wonder what happened to the version of you that used to give them everything. And the answer will sit in the silence they left behind. Because when you went quiet, it wasn't a retreat. It was to rebuild, brick by painful brick, scar by forgotten scar, until you became the very thing they can't forget, the one who healed without help, the one who rose without noise, the one who turned patience into power and silence into revenge. So be patient, but not peaceful. Be patient, like a shadow waiting for the sun to fall. Be patient, like a lion staring through the bars of its cage. Be patient, like the storm just before the thunder. And when it's time, don't knock, don't speak, just take. Everything they thought you'd never have the strength to claim. Because here's the part they'll never understand. Patience is loud on the inside. It's a war you fight alone, every single day. You walk around with a calm face while your mind is screaming. You laugh when you're dying inside. You give when no one gives back. You keep standing when everything in you wants to fall. And they call that strength, like it's something poetic. Nah, it's survival. You're not here because you're brave. You're here because you had no damn choice. And somehow, that made you cold. Not cruel. Just done. Done waiting for people to do right by you. Done waiting for love that comes with conditions. Done apologizing for the fire in your chest. Let them say you're cold now. Let them say you're distant. You should be. You learned the hard way that warmth attracts leeches. That kindness is currency in a world full of thieves. So now you give nothing unless it's earned. You speak less because you realize how many of them were just listening to reply, not understand. You don't share your dreams anymore because they weren't cheering, they were competing. And the less they know, the better. Your patience has become your armor, your silence, your weapon. You've become the villain in their story, not because you changed, but because you stopped letting them write in yours. They thought you were dumb for being loyal, for staying, for trying. And now they think you're cold for leaving. Funny how they only recognize your value after you withdraw it. But don't say a word. Don't try to fix their guilt. Don't give them that closure they refuse to give you. Let them rot in that silence. Let them sit in the mess they made and call it confusion. You don't owe them clarity. You don't owe them forgiveness. Patience isn't about holding on. It's about holding back. You held back your rage, your revenge, your words. And now, you hold back your presence. That's how you win. Quietly. Completely. You used to be soft, didn't you? You used to explain, to chase, to hope. You waited for people to become better. You gave chances they didn't deserve. You saw the good and the worst of them. But the game changed. You didn't. They forced your hand. They made you patient by turning you into a ghost. Not dead. Just invisible to the ones you would have fought the world for. And now that ghost has claws. Now that ghost doesn't whisper. It haunts. They see your silence now and feel uneasy. Because for the first time they realize you're no longer within reach. And that's when they start remembering. Not who you were, but how they treated you. They remember the loyalty they ignored, the messages they left unread, the love they laughed at, the tears they caused. And by the time they realize patience doesn't mean forever, it's too late. You're already someone else. You already outgrew the version of you they mishandled. You already built an empire in the dark. And that empire has no gates open to the ones who tried to burn you down. So no, don't speak, don't explain, don't text, don't call. Let the silence carry your legacy. Let it echo every lesson they refuse to learn. Let your success scream where your voice no longer will. That's what patience does. It gives you the final word without speaking. It gives you the last move without warning. And it gives you peace, not the fragile kind, but the cold, earned, untouchable kind. The kind that only warriors of silence carry. And you've earned it. You've bled for it. You've waited for it when no one clapped, no one cared, and no one stayed. So when they ask what happened to the person they used to know, let them wonder. Let them grieve the version of you they killed with their ignorance. Because you won't come back as that person. You'll come back as someone they can't handle anymore. You'll come back as the version they tried to silence, just sharper, colder, and far beyond their reach. You see, people don't realize they're creating a storm until the sky turns black. They think patience is you sitting still, taking hit after hit. But what they don't see is that every hit adds weight to a mind already calculating. Every betrayal feeds the machine. Every silence they gave you taught you how to speak with action. And now you're becoming everything they fear. A version of you that doesn't need anyone to be complete. A version that doesn't chase, doesn't break, doesn't care. You're not healing to prove a point. You're not rising for applause. You're just done playing small to make others feel comfortable. They'll come back eventually. They always do. Not because they care, but because they see what you became without them. And by then, your patience will have done its job. It will have turned your name into something that echoes without sound, something that lingers without presence. And when they knock, don't answer. Not because you're bitter, not because you're angry, but because the door they closed on you was never yours to begin with. You built your own in the dark, with your own hands, with your own pain. And that door doesn't open for ghosts from the past. You remember the nights you stayed awake hoping they'd call, hoping they'd say sorry. You remember questioning your worth because they didn't see it. That version of you is dead, buried under every moment of silence you endured. Now you don't wait for apologies. You outgrow the need for them. You don't chase closure. You create your own. You don't ask them to stay. You just watch who disappears and take notes. Because in the end, the people who truly love you won't make you question your place. And those who do, let them feel the weight of your absence. Let your patience haunt their memory like a lesson they'll never forget. You think I'm harsh? You think I sound cold? Good. Because this world isn't built for soft hearts who never learn. It's built for those who break and still choose discipline, who get left behind and still choose to build, who feel everything deeply and yet walk with silence instead of drama. That's you now. You're not broken. You're focused. You're not weak. You're just done wasting strength. You're not silent because you have nothing to say. You're silent because not everyone deserves to hear your voice anymore. They mocked you when you were emotional. They left when you were loyal. They doubted you when you were at your lowest. And now that you've gone quiet, they feel uneasy. That's not coincidence. That's their guilt reacting to your distance. That's their conscience starting to crack under the pressure of the silence they caused. And you don't need revenge. You don't need payback. You don't even need validation. You just keep rising, patiently, quietly, powerfully, until your very existence becomes a reminder of everything they threw away. Be patient, but never be passive. Patience isn't standing still. It's standing ready, ready to walk away, ready to grow, ready to rebuild, even if it means doing it alone. The strongest souls are never born in comfort. They're born in waiting, in disappointment, in darkness. And those who survive it without turning bitter, they don't just heal, they transform. That's you. Right now, in this silence, in this storm, you're transforming. And they'll never see it until it's too late. So stay there, in the shadows, in the quiet. Let them talk. Let them think they've won. Because one day, that silence you mastered, it'll be the sound that follows your name. The sound of lessons learned too late. The sound of respect earned too slow. The sound of a ghost they thought was gone, coming back to own everything. You don't rush power. You don't beg for timing. You don't chase what collapses when you stop feeding it. Let them run ahead. Let them chase noise and quick wins and empty applause. The world claps for fools who burn bright and vanish fast. But you're not here to entertain. You're here to endure. And that takes a different breed of strength, the kind they won't understand until it's standing right in front of them, dressed in silence, backed by scars, and built from everything they laughed at. You've been patient long enough to become the person who no longer needs to knock on locked doors. You just build your own gate and walk through it, while they scramble to figure out where you went. They forgot you because you went silent, but they'll remember you when the silence becomes a mirror that forces them to face their mistakes. See, your absence will do what your presence never could. Because when you were present, they ignored, they belittled, they took. But when you removed yourself, when you withheld your energy, your love, your time, that's when the confusion started. They started replaying moments, wondering what went wrong. The irony is, nothing went wrong. You just stopped handing over pieces of your soul to people who couldn't even hold your name with respect. That's what patience taught you. Not to wait for better treatment, but to walk away the second it's not given. You thought loving hard would keep people close. You thought loyalty was a language everyone spoke. But patience exposed something brutal. It showed you who only understood convenience, who only knew how to use your kindness, who only stuck around when the benefits were loud and disappeared when your pain became inconvenient. And when you finally stopped talking, when you finally let the silence do the speaking, they started noticing. But not because they changed, because their comfort was shaken. You were the source, and they knew it too late. And now that you're gone, they start to realize. It's funny, isn't it? How silence has a way of rearranging everything. The same people who said, "You're too much," now search for pieces of you in people who'll never match your depth. The ones who told you to calm down now miss the fire you brought into their lifeless lives. But don't look back. Don't return to fix what they shattered. Don't revisit the ashes they set on fire. Some things aren't meant to be repaired. Some things are meant to stay broken, to remind them of what happens when you play games with someone who was sent to build, not to beg. You've become something they can't access anymore. Not because you're holding a grudge, but because you grew in silence. And that kind of growth creates distance. No apology can close. You stopped needing answers. You stopped needing closure. You stopped needing them. And now they sit with that truth, dressed in confusion, trying to figure out how someone so quiet made so much noise in their soul. That's your power. You don't need to raise your voice. Your discipline does the damage. Your peace becomes the punishment. Your absence becomes the lesson. So, stay patient. Not for them, for you. Because everything you're building in silence will one day walk loud through the world. And when it does, don't look back. Don't explain where you went. Let the results answer for you. Let the silence that once felt like suffering become the soundtrack of your victory. Let them sit in the echo of what they let go, while you thrive in the very storm they tried to drown you in. You were patient. And that patience, it didn't just save you, it made you. And when you do rise, because you will, don't do it for validation. Don't come back looking for claps from the same hands that once stayed folded while you were bleeding. You rise for you, for that broken version of yourself that held it together when it made no sense to, for that silent warrior who didn't collapse when the world went dark, for that soul that sat in the quiet, stitched itself back together with tears, and didn't ask anyone for a needle. That's who you owe it to, not them. Never them. They didn't see you. They saw what they could take from you. They saw your heart as a resource, your patience as a weakness, your silence as an opportunity to disrespect you without resistance. But not anymore. You don't need to show them you've changed. Just be different. Let your evolution speak in the way you no longer tolerate their presence. Let your growth announce itself through the doors you no longer knock on. You don't need revenge. You need results. Results that echo without needing to be posted, shouted, or flaunted. Results that hit them where it hurts most, in their memory, because they'll remember how you loved them with everything you had, how you forgave things you never spoke of, how you stayed when everyone else would have walked. And they'll remember how one day you just stopped. No drama, no goodbye, just gone. That's what will burn. They won't admit it. Pride never lets them. But that silence you gave them, it humbles, it hurts, it haunts, because it means you don't need them to complete your story. You rewrote it without them. You rebuilt without crying at their doorstep. You became without their support. That's the kind of pain they'll never be able to mask. They'll smile. They'll pretend. But deep down, they'll know they messed up. Not because they lost someone perfect, but because they lost someone real. And real is rare. Real doesn't beg. Real doesn't come back. Real walks away when disrespected and never returns the same. And when that day comes, when they try to reach out, when they send a message just to check in, when they pretend they didn't leave you in the dark, stay silent, not out of spite, out of respect for who you've become. The old you might have answered. The old you might have explained. The old you might have hoped it meant something. But not anymore. You waited long enough. You stayed long enough. You forgave long enough. Now, it's time to outgrow. Without words, without hate, just distance. Because real power isn't shown in how loud you scream. It's in how little you respond when your name comes up. You're not angry anymore. You're aware. You're not bitter. You're better. You're not waiting. You're moving. And that movement, that forward motion with no explanations, no justifications, that's what drives people insane. They thought they could walk away and come back to the same version of you. They thought your patience meant access. But patience was never for them. It was for you. It was the space you gave yourself to transform. And now, that transformation speaks for itself in the way you walk, in the way you look through people, not at them, in the way your silence isn't empty, it's earned. So keep walking, keep growing. Let the silence deepen. Let your absence say everything your words never could. Because those who truly loved you wouldn't have needed a warning. And those who didn't, let them drown in the silence they created. Your job was never to save them. Your job was to save yourself. And now you've done it with patience, with pain, with purpose. And when they finally realize what they lost, you'll be too far gone for it to matter. Because once you're gone for real, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically, there's no return. You become unreachable. Not because you blocked them, not because you hate them, but because you outgrew the place where they existed in your life. They became a chapter, not the story, a scar, not the wound. And when you get to that level of detachment, your silence becomes divine. It's not revenge. It's not strategy. It's not a game. It's freedom. You finally realize you never needed closure from them. You needed closure from yourself, from that part of you that kept hoping, that kept explaining, that kept waiting for someone to choose you like you were choosing them. But now you choose you. And when you do that, everything changes. The way you breathe, the way you walk into rooms, the way you respond or don't respond. People start noticing, not because you're trying to be seen, but because your energy becomes different, heavier, quieter, stronger. Like something about you says, I don't care for the noise anymore. I've seen what silence builds. That's what scares them. Not your anger, not your sadness, but the version of you that doesn't need anything from them, that doesn't break when ignored, that doesn't react when disrespected. Because once you've truly mastered patience, you don't beg, you replace, you don't fight, you vanish. And when you vanish, they lose access to a world they never deserved to enter in the first place. You're not the victim anymore. You're not the fool. You're not the one who waits by the phone hoping for decency. You're the one who understands that some people are lessons, not blessings. That some relationships are warnings, not homes. And the moment you stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, the moment you stop justifying their behavior, is the moment you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer a bandage. That's what your silence says. Now, you had your chance. You didn't listen. Now watch me in silence. And yes, they'll feel it. Not right away. People like that never do. They think the world will always wait. They confuse your patience for dependence. But time has a way of revealing truth. And eventually, they'll compare everyone to you. They'll find replacements. Sure, that's easy. But they won't find someone who loved them with your kind of depth. They won't find someone who stayed through storms and still offered shelter. They won't find someone who chose them again and again, even while bleeding. And when they realize that, it'll be too late. Because the new version of you doesn't take them back. The new version of you doesn't sit at tables where you had to beg for a seat. So keep walking, slowly, but with intention. Keep waiting, not for them, but for your moment. Because your silence isn't empty, it's loaded. Loaded with everything they never expected you to become. And when you finally show up, when they hear your name and feel something twist in their chest, that's not bitterness. That's the ghost of what they lost. That's the echo of a presence they disrespected. And that's the reward of your patience. Not revenge, not pettiness, but peace. The kind of peace that can't be touched. The kind of peace that whispers, I survived without you. I built without you. And I'm never looking back.